Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday edition of Source 16 News. I'm Eddie Owen. Thanks for joining us. Sad news out of Fort Campbell today. 6 101st Airborne Division soldiers were killed Tuesday by small arms fire in Afghanistan. Officials say the following soldiers were killed. 29-year-old Staff Sergeant Brian Burgess of Texas, 20-year-old Private First Class Dustin Feldhaus of Arizona, 28-year-old Sergeant First Class Ofrin Arakega of Florida, 26-year-old Staff Sergeant Frank Adamski of Connecticut, 23-year-old Private Jeremy Faulkner of Georgia, and 23-year-old Specialist Jamison Linskog of California. Major General John Campbell held a video news conference today from Afghanistan to talk about the 6 casualties with reporters.
I want to really express my sincere condolences to the families of 6 Screaming Eagle soldiers who lost their lives during offensive operations in Kunar province earlier this week. Our thoughts and prayers are with their families. They gave their last full measure, standing shoulder to shoulder alongside our Afghan counterparts. During an offensive operation where they significantly disrupted the enemy activity in that area. This is in the Kunar province again. This was a large battalion-sized mission involving U.S. forces, ANA forces, Afghan Border Patrol forces.
According to Campbell, an Afghan soldier was also killed in the attack, and he spoke about the details of the operation.
This was a planned operation, a part of our spring camp plan. We knew this area had a number of insurgents in there. That's why we were targeting this area to disrupt the insurgents there. But this was a planned operation. We knew that we would get a fight in there. We do expect that the enemy, over the course of the spring, will try to surge back. As we've talked before, we believe that we've done some significant damage to the insurgents in Regional Command East over the last 10 months or so.
The soldiers were all assigned to Fort Campbell's 2nd Battalion, 327th Infantry Regiment, Bastogne Brigade. A deadly crash just south of Murray this morning claimed the life of a Callaway County woman when her SUV was hit by a semi. According to Kentucky State Police, 46-year-old Tammy Lusk of Almo was transported from the wreck scene to the Murray-Callaway County Hospital, where she was pronounced dead. Police say the wreck occurred around 6:20 when Lusk failed to yield the right-of-way as she went to turn from the Murray-Paris Road onto Kentucky 121, and her SUV was hit on the driver's side by a tractor-trailer driven by an Illinois man. The accident caused the semi to overturn, spilling its load of salt onto the road and forcing the road to be closed for most of the day. The road reopened to traffic around 1 o'clock this afternoon. 9 of 17 defendants that entered into plea deals with the U.S. Attorney's Office in a crack cocaine distribution ring in and around Christian County are being sentenced this week in federal court. Chief District Court Judge Thomas B. Russell sentenced Marvin Acree, Perry Red, and Rex Whitlock to 120 months imprisonment each, followed by 5 years supervised release. Amanda Bush was sentenced to 240 months imprisonment with 10 years supervised release. Anthony Hester, 180 months imprisonment with 5 years supervised release. Alvin Quarles, 150 months imprisonment with 5 years supervised release. And Donald Williams sentenced to 96 months imprisonment with 5 years supervised release. Latavius Banks and Corey Gray each were sentenced to 60 months imprisonment with 3 years supervised release. The remaining defendants are expected to be sentenced April 27th and 28th. 3 Christian County residents were previously convicted by a federal jury on January 18th in Paducah on charges of conspiracy to distribute 50 grams or more of crack cocaine. James Dunbar and Rodney Moore face a mandatory sentence of life behind bars without the possibility of parole, while Dwayne Joseph faces a mandatory sentence of 20 years to life behind bars without the possibility of parole. Evidence presented at trial showed that between June 2007 and June 2009 in Christian County and elsewhere, the total amount of crack cocaine distributed was in excess of 100 kilograms. A Clarksville man convicted in a fatal wreck that killed a Fort Campbell soldier in Oak Grove last year will go on trial again this fall. 21-year-old Antoine Rouse, who was convicted of wanton murder in January for a head-on collision that killed 23-year-old Joshua Rogers of Texas, appeared in Christian County Circuit Court today with his lawyer, Brandy McEldowney. where Judge Andrew Self set his trial to begin August 1st. McEldowney filed the motion for a new trial before Rouse could be formally sentenced earlier this month after discovering that jurors may have decided he was guilty based on information not in evidence, but rather on information they received from one of the jurors about parole eligibility. Rouse was originally scheduled for a pretrial conference for a new trial date yesterday, but the Commonwealth filed a motion to alter, amend, or vacate the court's decision to grant Rouse a new trial.
It's impossible to get a straight answer from each one of them, I think, now, today, about how they would have voted or how they did vote. They'd be happy, I'm sure, to say how the deliberations went, but I think we can get 12 different versions or something close to that. And some of those are going to favor the defense. The first two clearly do.
Rogers was killed in February 2010 after Rouse hit his car head-on at Kentucky 115 Pembroke Oak Grove Road. In addition to murder, jurors previously convicted Rouse of driving under the influence and leaving the scene of an accident. Meanwhile, a Clarksville jury has found two Nashville men guilty in the shooting death of a Fort Campbell soldier. A jury found Montez Hall and Frank Beasley guilty of one count of facilitation of second-degree murder of 25-year-old Sergeant Brian Hasty, 3 counts of facilitation of criminal attempt to commit second-degree murder, and 3 counts of facilitation of unlawful employment of a firearm during or in an attempt to commit a dangerous offense. Both were originally charged with first-degree murder, 3 counts of attempted murder, and 3 counts of possession of a firearm in commission of a felony. Their trial began Monday with 2 other defendants, Kenneth Deshaun Hatch and Samuel Dwayne Majors, but their cases were severed and will be tried at a later date. Hall was charged with the murder of Hasty after being identified as the alleged shooter, while Beasley is believed to have driven the getaway car where the gun was found. A sentencing hearing will be held on May 18th. A Clarksville man has been convicted in the March 2009 murder of his wife, a Fort Campbell soldier who was home on leave from Afghanistan. A Montgomery County jury found 29-year-old Khalifa Lambert guilty of first-degree murder, felony murder, and 2 counts of especially aggravated kidnapping in the stabbing death of his wife, 18-year-old Private First Class Ashley Barnes. Lambert reportedly stabbed Barnes 16 times in the parking lot of a Clarksville motel where she was staying after filing for divorce a few days prior to her murder. Lambert received an automatic life sentence with eligibility for parole in 51 years. He'll be sentenced on June 8th for the especially aggravated kidnapping convictions, which could add 15 to 25 years to his sentence. Mayfield's police department has undergone numerous changes in the past month, but a recent change isn't one the city's bragging about. The department's recently promoted Assistant Chief Larry Alexander has retired after allegedly sending questionable emails from his work email account. According to reports, Alexander allegedly used the city's email account to contact a woman with messages of a questionable personal nature on March 18th. One of those messages ended up being sent to Mayor Cantrell. 3 days later, Cantrell reportedly sent Alexander a formal letter informing him that he had violated 2 sections of the city's personnel plan: unauthorized use of city property and on-duty or off-duty conduct that discredits the individual or association. Alexander chose to retire from the department rather than face disciplinary action. Alexander was promoted earlier this month as part of the city's restructuring of the police department. Cantrell said the city will realign the department's leadership without an assistant chief. For the 16th time, the city of Madisonville has been named a Tree City USA community by the National Arbor Day Foundation as a result of the city's commitment to community forestry. Madisonville met the 4 standards required to be a Tree City USA community through an active tree board, a tree care ordinance, a comprehensive community forestry program, and an Arbor Day observance. Madisonville's Community Development Director Darren Jordan says this recognition by the National Arbor Day Foundation is a nice honor and underscores the important work of Park Superintendent Chris Taylor and the park staff, elected officials, and volunteers of the Madisonville Tree Board that undertake in planting and caring for the community's forest. A 73-year-old Pembroke man was taken to the hospital after he blacked out and his car hit a concrete building on Skyline Drive. Hopkinsville police report Davey Reiger was driving through the back parking lot of H&R Block around 11:15 when police believe Reiger blacked out for unknown reasons and crashed into the back of the building. Police say Reiger didn't remember the accident and he appeared confused and disoriented when officers arrived on the scene. Reiger was transported by ambulance to Jenny Stewart Medical Center for treatment. Well, some say public education is the civil rights issue of this generation, and the Pritchard Committee for Academic Excellence has a challenge for Kentuckians regarding just that. Since 2008, the committee has been working to move Kentucky's education system to the top 20 in the nation by 2020. Fannie Louise Maddox with the Pritchard Committee updated Kiwanis members today at their weekly luncheon.
You can see we are on track for reaching the goal on 9 indicators, improving but slowly on 2 indicators, and flat or losing ground on 5 with no new data available on 4 indicators. Many of the results to date are good, but there's real cause for concern about some of these things.
To meet this goal, the committee is focusing on key objectives with Senate Bill 1, passed in 2009. Maddox was recognized last week by the Hopkinsville Human Relations Commission in their Women's History Month Awards program, where she received the Sherry Jeffers Award for her longtime community service towards improving public education. A Marshall County tradition that's been celebrated for over 160 years kicks off tomorrow. The 168th annual Tater Day will fill the streets of Benton to celebrate the sweet potato this weekend. A barbecue cook-off beginning tomorrow night at 7, along with live music, will kick off the weekend festivities. Saturday will include the Tater Trot Fun Run, another barbecue cook-off, and the Demolition Derby that evening. Festivities conclude on Monday with the Lions Club Pancake Breakfast and the Tater Day Parade at 11 a.m. There will also be carnival rides all weekend long. We'll get your numbers ready and get ready for a big weekend. Friday's Mega Millions jackpot, $19 million. Saturday night, Powerball is $187 million.